She wanted a $6,000 new fence. He used a pressure washer instead. She couldn't believe it. She had already accepted it. The fence was finished. The quote was real, and $6,000 was about to disappear. Then he did something that made no sense at all. He did not call a contractor. He did not replace a single panel. He rolled out one machine, pulled the trigger, and within minutes, the fence started changing color in front of her eyes. But here's the part nobody explained. What came off that fence was not what she thought it was, and what happened next raised a much bigger question. If a fence can look ruined and still come back like that, then how many people have been told to replace things that were never actually broken? Welcome to Hidden Fix Lab. If this kind of knowledge means something to you, please subscribe. Nice and easy, no rush, just the way a wise man over 50 would do it properly. And before this story goes any further, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? She stood in her backyard, staring at the fence. 5 years of green stains, black streaks, and dull patches. The quote in her hand said $6,000. Replacement, they told her. The material is worn out. But long before modern fences, long before pressure washers, people were already solving this exact problem. More than 2,000 years ago, in the time of the Pliny the Elder, Roman households faced similar issues. Surfaces exposed to moisture would grow dark layers. Wood, stone, even early plaster would lose their clean look. In his recorded work, Natural History, he described a simple method. They used water mixed with ash from burned wood. Nothing advanced, no machines, just a mixture poured over surfaces. They noticed something important. The stains were not part of the surface. They were living layers sitting on top of it. The ash solution slowly broke them down. No force, no scraping, just time and chemistry. Centuries later, in medieval Europe, the same idea continued. People used lye water, made from ash again, to clean fabric, walls, and outdoor structures. They understood, without modern science, that organic buildup could be dissolved, not blasted away. This knowledge stayed consistent for over 1,000 years. Clean the growth, not the material. Then something changed. As industrial tools developed, mechanical cleaning replaced chemical understanding. Force became the default solution, pressure, instead of reaction. By April 2026, most homeowners believed one thing. If it looks ruined, it must be replaced. But history tells a different story. The fence in her backyard was not failing. It was simply covered, just like surfaces were centuries ago. And the method to restore it was never actually new. The surface of that fence looked damaged, but under a closer look, it told a different story. What covered it was not decay. It was biology. Thin layers of algae had formed first, feeding on moisture and sunlight. Then mold followed, settling deeper into tiny pores of the vinyl. Over time, mildew spread across panels, creating the dull, uneven color. To the human eye, it looked permanent. But at a microscopic level, it was temporary growth. This is where chemistry becomes more precise than force. When compounds like sodium percarbonate dissolve in water, they release hydrogen peroxide. That reaction produces active oxygen, which targets organic cells directly. A study published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology showed that hydrogen peroxide breaks down microbial biofilms by oxidizing their cell walls. In simple terms, it destroys the structure that keeps algae and mold alive. Another study in construction and building materials examined high-pressure water cleaning. It found that pressure washing creates micro-level surface damage, especially on polymer materials like vinyl. That damage is invisible at first, but it increases surface roughness. And rough surfaces hold more moisture, which means faster regrowth, so the cycle repeats. Clean, regrow, clean again. This is why pressure washing works, but never lasts. Commercial cleaners often do not solve this either. Most contain diluted active ingredients, mixed with fillers and fragrances. They clean the surface visually, but fail to fully break down the biological layer. The difference is simple. Mechanical cleaning removes what you can see. Chemical oxidation removes what is actually alive. The fence was never structurally damaged. It was biologically covered. And once that distinction is understood, the entire problem changes. By the time she received the $6,000 quote, the decision already felt made for her. The contractor did not inspect deeply. He looked, paused, and said the same line used across thousands of homes. The panels are worn out. But the numbers behind that statement tell a different story. The U.S. fencing market, supported by groups like the American Fence Association, operates within a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem. Materials, installation, and replacement together generate over $20 billion annually. Cleaning services add another steady layer of recurring revenue. Now compare that with a method that costs under $10 and works once or twice a year. That gap explains everything. That is just economics. Pressure washing businesses, for example, charge per visit. A standard residential fence can cost hundreds each time, and because high-pressure cleaning slightly roughens the surface, the fence attracts growth faster, which leads to repeat calls, repeat payments, a predictable cycle. There was one detail rarely discussed in consumer spaces. In 2004, surface chemist Dr. Michael A. Shannon published work on non-destructive cleaning methods for polymer materials. His findings showed that oxidative cleaning preserved surface integrity far better than mechanical force. But those findings never became standard advice for homeowners. They did not scale commercially, they did not create repeat dependency, and systems built on service models tend to promote what sustains them. Homeowners associations added another layer: violation notices, deadlines, daily fines. Urgency replaced investigation. So when she looked at her fence, she was not just seeing stains. She was seeing a system guiding her toward one outcome: replace, not because it was the only solution, but because it was the most profitable one to recommend. He did not argue with the quote. He simply chose to test something else first. The method was simple, measured, repeatable. He took 1 cup of oxygen-based cleaner, mixed it into 1 gallon of warm water, and poured it into a standard garden sprayer. No special tools, no replacement parts. First, he lightly rinsed the fence with water, not to clean it, but to prepare the surface. A damp surface allows the solution to spread evenly. Then he sprayed from bottom to top, covering each panel slowly. This prevented streaks, something most people miss. He waited 15 to 30 minutes, nothing dramatic at first, but the reaction was happening at a level the eye could not see. The solution was breaking down the biological layer, cell by cell. In areas with heavier buildup, he used a soft brush. Gently, no pressure. Then he rinsed it off, top to bottom. The water that came off was green, then brown, years of growth leaving the surface. What remained underneath was the original material. Not new, just revealed. A homeowner named Daniel tried the same method on a fence quoted at $5,800 for replacement. His total cost, under $10. The result was not perfect in extreme areas. Faint marks remained where buildup had been left for too long. But overall, more than 90% of the surface returned to its original state. The comparison was clear. Replacement, thousands of dollars. Pressure washing, repeated yearly cost. This method, a few dollars, once or twice a year. The fence was never failing, it was covered, and once that was understood, the solution was no longer expensive, only overlooked.